Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now getting very close to the end of August of 2023, and given that there's a lot of things ahead of us for the D23 event that's going to hold some announcements, and the reason why I say some is that Disney has been drastically reducing the number of announcements and revelations that they will be making at this event because of the cost containment plan by Bob Iger and the Disney Board of Directors that went into, of course, play a couple of weeks ago. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on with Dave Filoni and the Ahsoka Tano series. Now, today is the day in which it debuts on Disney Plus at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be the new schedule, by the way, every single Tuesday instead of Wednesdays. But we know that the Ahsoka series is something that a lot of fans have remained very skeptical about, coming out of The Mandalorian Season 3 and how that really dropped and really lost a lot of fan interest. A lot of fans are just going in this with an open mind, saying to themselves essentially, alright, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, so be it. Then they're done with Star Wars. There's a lot of things happening right now. And basically this show is a make or break for Lucasfilm. However, what Filoni had to say to a lot of fans that are really going into this with a lot of holdbacks and a lot of guard, right? He actually had quite a number of things to say that I think are a little bit alarming to what his overall view of the Ahsoka series is all about. Let's get into this. Now, with the Ahsoka series set to release in just hours, creator Dave Filoni, who wrote the entire series, by the way, Jon Favreau had no part in that, he had some things to say about the critics and fans getting very defensive over an all-female-led cast. Filoni delivered the following to everyone. I think the problem that we face today, especially with Star Wars fans, is that everyone views the franchise as only for boys. And what I proved with Ahsoka, especially in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and this time around now, is that this show will attract a new audience for girls too, for themselves to enjoy. Whenever any studio, and in this case us here, with Ahsoka, develop practically an all-female-led series, we notice fans take a step back, that of course being boys, and they get all defensive. For fans, this is so different from me. Everyone would probably look at me and say, why? There is this hilarious assumption because of older fans that grew up with the originals and such, and they're complaining wise, like you're making this for girls. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so what? The complaints I imagine we'll be getting about this series from those hardcore oldie fans are things like this show is made for kids and girls. And well, yeah, I mean, that's the point, isn't it? I think the general public gets so defensive, like saying things like, okay, you are robbing us from male-led characters. Why should I watch this? And I say, not so fast. These are strong, independent female characters that hold a purpose. So let me just stop here for 1 second about what Filoni is displaying. Now, this is kind of similar to one of the earlier alarming presentations that he gave about Ahsoka. I'll try to lead you guys to that video down the road. Maybe I'll try to edit in what it's actually called in this video. I can't remember the exact title, but it is out there. It's something that was back in 2016, very similar to what Filoni is displaying about the Ahsoka Tano series, that is resurfacing now and is showing a different side to Dave Filoni, surprisingly. Now, the problem that I think a lot of fans really have is that it's not that they are disapproving of female characters. The problem that fans do have are characters that are very much Mary Sue-like. Very much like what Rey was like in the sequel trilogy and how she was presented in The Force Awakens and set up in that fashion without any way to justify that or any, training or anything like that. That's just one little example. Now, Filoni's getting defensive. He is getting angry with the growing number of critics and skeptics out there over the Ahsoka series because it's an all-female-led cast. And I think we all have to remember that, given that Ahsoka is the main show for 2023 at this point, right? We also have the main show for 2024, the Acolyte series, also being an all-female-led series. And so this is where he gets a little bit more defensive. We're going to dive into this right now. So he goes on to elaborate further. And the question I get many times are, well, what about the guys? Will they like this? It's a crazy question when you create a strong, independent female character that displays no fear and can do these impressive things. Boys will certainly get defensive over that. I don't know why I keep saying boys, but anyway. Our aim is to represent more female characters that can do all these amazing things. I mean, it's only fair, right? Look at all the thousands of films, if not millions of films and shows that have all the males in the world as the lead and as the character and hero. This is why I just didn't want to do another Luke Skywalker. This series is not just about one character, it's about a diverse range of strong independent characters that will inspire young girls, and I'm all for it. Now, this is what Filoni had to say to the skeptics out there, to the critics, to the skeptics going into this film, just to be very clear. And he is getting defensive, he is getting disgruntled with, the fans that have a very big criticism about the show before it even has dropped on Disney+. I guess that's his issue with this. Now, we talked about that 2016 presentation months ago, and given that it was years ago, people think that Dave Filoni may have changed over the years, and now he's saying this about Ahsoka, and it really is concerning a number of aspects about this series. And again, I'll try to direct you guys to that older presentation that came out before The Last Jedi, mind you. Now, interestingly enough, we know that this series had a handful of mixed reactions with the first 2 episodes. Now, mainly they were positive, but you gotta remember that these people are bought and paid for by Disney. They are literally people that go ahead and see these screenings because, well, let's face it, they are paid by Disney. Alright, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. So there were a couple of people out there that were more truthful about the first 2 episodes. And people have said, things, and maybe it's nitpicking, but some things like there were cartoony moments in there, cringy dialogue, campy dialogue, just to name a few little nitpicking things in there in the first 2 episodes. Now look, I don't want Star Wars to fail in the grand scheme of things. I just don't want to see the traditional Disney Star Wars that's very much annoying and very much lackluster to be the new norm. I think that what I really would love to see is George Lucas's Star Wars and his philosophy to remain intact. That's all I care about. And if you're gonna have female-led characters, fine, but don't make them female-led characters that are basically Mary Sues. That's what I stand for, and I think that's what a lot of you guys out there will agree with as well. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.